Action.
Okay, guys, we are ready to go. We have our pipe cleaners. You can get these pipe cleaners at any arts and crafts store. I like to go to Michael's because it's right across the street from us. And you can get a bundle of them for about $3 or $4 with about 100 pipe cleaners in it. If you go anywhere to like the dollar store, or if you go to Walmart or something like that, you're not going to be able to get as much bang for your buck when it comes to the pipe cleaners, and you'll find yourself spending about $10 to get 10 packs of 10 pipe cleaners. Okay, so if you want to buy them in bulk and you're going to be using these on a lot of clients and not just yourself, you want to go to an arts and crafts store so that you can get the pack of 100 to 300 for a cheaper amount of money. Okay, so first of all, what we need to talk about is how to make the pipe cleaners. We want to keep in mind that pipe cleaners are simply what they call them, pipe cleaners. And they have a little wire that's double stranded right through the middle, and there's little like cotton like fuzzies on the outside of it. And so when you take it and you bend it, it stays just like that. But there's nothing on the ends of the pipe cleaner that's going to protect your client's hair. So this can poke them and it can hurt. And it can also snag on their hair and pop their hair off, especially when we get to the point to where we want to flip it open and pull it out of the hair. So for that reason, what I do with my pipe cleaners is I take the bottom like so, and it's going to end up looking like this. And you're going to twist, and it's going to be very, very smooth, and it'll look like a circle just like this at the end of your pipe cleaner. Okay, so I usually do about 2 pipe cleaners together, just because I feel like when I do one, sometimes it's a little bit flimsy and it makes the hair not curl in a straight pattern. I'm very, very particular about my curls because I know that how her hair sets up under that dryer for the next 45 minutes to hour and a half is going to be how her curls sit. So when she comes from up under the dryer, I want her curls to be straight. I want them to be uniform. I want every little detail to be in place. And it starts with properly putting your pipe cleaners together. So the easiest way to do it is to take 2 of your pipe cleaners, put them together, and you're going to take maybe about half an inch or so, and you're going to bend it down. When you bend it down, you're going to hold it with your thumb right there. So it'll look like a little candy cane hook, just like that. You're going to pull it together, and then you can twist it so that the end part of the pipe cleaner begins to twist back around itself, and it lays smoothly against the rest of the pipe cleaner. So that way you don't have to be concerned about this part of the pipe cleaner tangling up in the bottom of her lock. Once that little small wire from the pipe cleaner gets tangled into the lock, it's almost like you just have to pop the hair to pull it out, okay? That's also the reason when we do the pipe cleaner, we're gonna work it all the way through, and you know what, I'll tell you that part when I get to it. But this is 2 styles in one, guys, okay? So for you experienced people that have done locks and you're very, very familiar with how to do a retwist, then you can retwist and put your pipe cleaners on at the same time. For those of you that are not familiar with doing the pipe cleaners and being able to keep a clean retwist at the roots, I'm going to do a different technique for you guys, which will be like doing it twice, but it's always quality over quantity. If it takes you a long time, but the quality of it is good, then you're on the right path, okay? So let's get into it. Whenever I'm doing a retwist, we're going to work through this row right here, and I'm going to give you a nice, good retwist. And this is what you would do repeatedly throughout your client's head if you're doing just a traditional retwist. It's very important for you to be able to pay attention to the way that your client hair twists. There are some people that will one day when you come in, twist your hair to the right. There are some people when the next day you come in, they're going to twist your hair to the left. I believe myself that as an experienced loctician, you need to be consistent in everything that you do to your client's hair. You shouldn't be changing the techniques because the hair begins to adapt to what you do to it. And if we're twisting our client's hair to the right for the first 3 years, and then after that, we begin to all of a sudden start twisting the hair to the left, you won't notice it right away. But the idea of a lock is that you are working with the hair texture and training it to go in a particular way, so that as the hair locks up, because remember, hair locks up on its own. All you do is guide it in the right direction. You can't confuse the hair. So if we're working with her texture and she has a curl pattern that's about this big, and we're working with that curl pattern and we gently twist every 4 weeks, the hair begins to adapt to that. 3, 4, 5 years, a month later, whatever, they go to someone else and that person begins to twist them to the left. Right at this point, all of this hair, so you see my fingers right here on her scalp, and it's holding the lock. All of this hair, this lock, for the past 3 years has been twisted to the right. And then today we're going to decide to go to the left. From this point forward, you're going to get a different version of her lock. And even if it only starts right here, this hair is trained to go back the other way. So think about when you hot curl your hair, or you do a ribbon, and you take the ribbon and you pull the scissors through it, and the ribbon curls up one way. And then you try to go back to that ribbon and you say, you know what, I didn't want the ribbon to do the curls that way. We're talking about the ribbons that you put on a present. And you try to put the scissors on the opposite side of the ribbon, and then you pull it and the curl doesn't work anymore, it's just stretched out. That's the same type of thing that's happening with these locks whenever you begin to take it the opposite way. Okay, so this little point right here, about 1 inch or so, in about 2 or 3 years, she could see thinning right there, and it will come from those couple of years ago when this part had grown out, but it was beginning to be twisted in a different direction. So you just want to be super mindful of that. And another example for those of you that may not have gotten the ribbon part is when you curl hair in one direction and then it cools off and it stays in that curl direction, but then you decide you don't want it to be curled in that direction anymore. You try to flip the flat iron or the curling iron and make it curl the opposite way, and now you just don't have curl at all and the hair is just kind of limp. So in that same essence, you're training the texture out of the hair in that one particular part. And it's very, very important with locks. Your foundation is everything. Everything that you do today is going to affect your locks tomorrow and next year and so on and so forth, okay? Especially when people move around a lot and they have to find different locticians. So for clients, this is something for you to be mindful of as well. So I twist the majority of my clients to the right, unless they're coming from somewhere else where someone's been twisting their hair to the left. I have one client in particular, he started his locks on his own. So he always has me part his locks down the middle, because when he started his locks, this hand twisted it to the right and this hand twisted his left side the opposite way to the left. So you just want to be mindful of those things so that you can keep whatever foundation you started with your locks. You want to keep doing that so that you get the same version of that person's locks throughout the years, okay? So here's the product we're going to start with. So to maintain her roots, I am going to use my gel. My gel works really, really good for me. I like it because I can purchase it in a large container because I have a lot of lock clients. Yes, I have a lot of lock clients, and I like to have enough gel for me to go through it and not have to stop 2 or 3 days later and have to purchase another jar. So this jar is just to show you what the My Gel looks like, but I actually buy the 5-gallon container, okay? This product can be purchased here at Melvira's Hair Studio. And today I'm going to be using it to secure the roots of her hair, okay? Now, there's 2 or 3 different ways to retwist. What I like to do is work my hands through the hair. You don't need a lot of product because hair will actually set with just water. Okay, how you make hair set is when the hair is wet, that is when we break up the hydrogen bonds in the hair. And those are the things that, those are the bonds in your hair that allow you to set your hair naturally with water and heat. It's your hydrogen bonds. So what we do is we wet the hair. And then when the hair is wet, the hydrogen bonds break. And then while the hair is wet, we twist it and then we clip it, and it's gonna stay nice and tight like this. Or we're going to go even further and put our pipe cleaners on it, and we're going to have our curl in it. And then as the hair dries back together, the hydrogen bonds in your hair actually begin to mold back together in the fashion that you set it. And that is what you need to understand, because it does not always take a load of product to make the hair stay. What it is that we use the product is because we want the lock retwist to stay a little longer. Okay, so we actually live here in Tucson, Arizona, where we live in a dry climate, and that is awesome for our retwists because we don't have to be concerned about humidity making the roots of our hair frizz up like someone in South Carolina or Jamaica, where many of those people tend to gravitate towards interlocking because they don't want their roots to frizz up as quickly. Okay, so now if you are coming through and you're not familiar with twisting, the first thing that you need to be concerned about is separating your client's locks. So if you're working with a client that has been having their locks done on a regular basis, you'll notice that you should be able to easily separate the hair, and you will see where their hair is naturally parted at, which will be the grid from when they first got started. And it may be slightly different because after you start locks, and maybe sometimes you don't get them retwisted as often, the grid that they were started in, meaning the parting pattern, sometimes has a tendency to shift a little bit. And sometimes as the hair grows out, we're always having new hairs to grow back in, guys. So you have to keep in mind that sometimes those shorter hairs will end up going into the other locks. But most people do not desire to have their hair twisted without clean parts. So in order to get the clean parts, I always go through, and if I decide to just use my hands, I'll come through and I'll smooth the roots, and I'm looking at her hair, and I'm ensuring that there's no hair from this lock going into this lock, or this lock, or this lock. Once I'm satisfied with what I see, I will add a little product just on the roots, and then I'll slightly twist the hair. Now you want to keep in mind, whenever you're doing a traditional retwist, this is not what you want to do. You should not see hair bulked up at the roots. You want the hair to fall down in what we like to call the natural state in cosmetology school. The natural state is what your hair looks like when you just allow it to fall, and how that hair would hang in its natural state. So we don't want to put any extra pressure on the hair. I usually will twist the hair to where I think her natural state is, and I'll tame down some of the frizzies with my hands. Because keep in mind, if people are coming in for a fresh retwist, they do not only want it to be freshly retwisted at the roots, they want their entire lock to look nice and neat, okay? Now, if you have someone you've been working with for a while, you don't have to be so concerned with all the way going down the root, because you've been training their hair and palm rolling it so that their frizzies will stay in place. But if this is someone you've never seen before, and they have a lot of new growth, or they've not been consistent with getting their hair retwisted and things like that, you may see fuzzies and things like that. You're going to want to do techniques. You can even take your fingers and kind of wrap around it, but make sure that you're not pulling it too tight at the roots. And this kind of trains the hair to go around. Some people prefer to do this method, where you're kind of using your middle finger to twist hair under and then push it back over with your thumb. And they do that over and over and over again until the hair mends to the lock. Me, myself, I prefer to mend everything down, and then I palm roll. And then when it over twists a little bit, I will release it a little bit. The idea is that as you put the clips in, when she comes up from under the dryer and I take a clip off, I want that lock to almost stay exactly where I put it. If ever you twist the lock and then the hair just unravels and starts going all crazy because it was over twisted, that may mean that you put too much tension on the locks, and that you're training the new hair to lock skinnier. So tension is very, very important. The same amount of tension that you put on this part of the lock when you retwisted it a year ago is the same amount of tension you should be putting on this part of the new growth that's growing out, okay? So now I did this with my hands because you do not have to use a lot of tools to do locks, okay? You just need good product and good technique. Now there is a comb technique that some locticians like to use, and I'm going to show it to you on this one. Keep in mind, there's no right, there's no wrong way to do locks, because locks are created on their own. We just guide them in the right direction. Now this comb is a barber comb that I like to use. I like to use it because this is actually designed for going through and cutting mustaches and beards and stuff like that, and thus why you have the teeth that gradually get smaller as you get down to the bottom. But I have found over the years that for me, this is the best comb to use for retwisting locks and for starting locks, because I like the big handle on the end. It gives me a little bit more control. And if and when I have to use this technique that I'm about to show you, I can just dip my comb into the product and then begin to rake it through the hair. Now this, in essence, is the same exact thing that I did. Now the technique that I did when I first twisted Kendra's hair on these right here is I kneaded. Almost like you knead dough. I kneaded the hair together, and as I pulled the hair together and I saw loose ones, I would push them out of the way. This right here is another way to do that, okay? This is not for retwisting when you have mature locks. This is just for pulling the hair into the lock that you want to be there and taking the ones out that you don't, okay? This is also good for starting locks, but today we're focusing on retwisting. So just the way that I kneaded these with my hand and I smoothed everything out is the same way that I separated all the stray hairs from this lock. And now I'm going to go through and I'm going to palm roll it until it's in its natural state. Okay, and then I'm going to clip it down. So for the technique that we're going to do whenever we retwist first and then we come back and do our pipe cleaners, you locticians, you beautiful stylists, are going to want to come and make it easier on yourself by going ahead and doing a retwist on a few locks at a time, and then coming back with the pipe cleaner, okay? And then I'm going to do about half of her head that way, and once we get to the front for time purposes,